Hi, my name is Gregory Scott. This is Lemery Rollins. We're here at DCSX 2015, and we're going to talk about musical layers with karate. So one of the things we explained, was kind of starting out the music and kind of listening to an instrument that's not the drums. So something that has a little bit more life, a little bit more feeling, then kind of holding on to that long enough for our partnership and our audience to kind of see that and be able to respond to it. So we kind of took a starter step, and we gave it a basic, like a formula, like a little soup or basic broth or kind of that we're going to add stuff to. And we just basically, we did a sway and another sway. And I'm going to kind of leave her here, and I'm going to start to walk around this. I'm going to walk around her. And then however many times I'm going to do this, it's just a whatchamacallit. When just a bass, sorry. When I want to establish slot, I'm going to send her back down slot so that I can bring her out. So the walk around is important, that I make sure that I'm setting up where I want the slot to be before I start to lead again.
Now, most songs have a pretty substantial intro. Most songs' intro is anywhere from 2 to 4 minor phrases, so anywhere from 16 to 32 counts. Most of us want to jump right into our dance after the first 2 triples, triple step, sugar push.
And then that puts you directly into patterns, and it's very hard. You're trying to put your musicality to the patterns.
Versus putting the patterns to the musicality that you are choosing to use.
That.
So the starter step, you can choose, the one that we showed you, you can choose to kind of switch it up any way you like to hit what's going on in the intro, in the music, from the beginning. So you can take your sways longer. Let's say that it's a sound that kind of draws out. You can draw out the sways. When you walk around, you can walk slow. You can walk fast. You can change directions. You can have level changes. So on and so forth. And what you'll find is that if you attach that from the beginning to something in the music, it's much easier to stay in it for the rest of the dance. We also talked about the different layers. So the first layer is what you hear in the intro, which generally tends to carry through the rest of the song. And then there's other layers. So
the layers that you, like some of the ones that you want to focus on kind of, you're normally always hearing the drum layers, and that's what's keeping the time. So those are your drum set, the downbeat, upbeat thing. And they're basically keeping the time. But the other layers are the ones that are more interesting. There's you have like a violin layer, a rhythm layer that could be either a guitar or
bass.
Or a bass. Or then you have bass guitar, which has its own rhythm kind of. The vocals, they have their own rhythm. Plus, they also have literal stuff that you could also hit, but their own rhythm of how they move. They're an instrument too. And you have a lead guitar, and then you have special little bells and stuff like that. But you want to kind of pick just one layer and kind of attach yourself to it. So if it's just like the vocals, and don't be afraid to kind of wait if nothing's happening. So let's say that if I was talking, so if I use that term, let's say I used it twice. If I was talking, but if I was talking, I want to make sure that I hold that. If I was talking, but if I was talking. So you know exactly kind of what I'm actually hitting without doing other stuff in the middle to take your focus away from, is that really what he meant to hit? And kind of doing that so long that it feels a little awkward, especially if you're in this rhythm and your partner's now focused in on it. Try to get as much out of it as you can without leaving it. Typically,
don't be afraid to repeat, and don't be afraid to stay in it until it feels uncomfortable. You'll kind of start to feel when the natural kind of change happens.
Yeah.
And my suggestion is, before you try this on the dance floor, pick a song and listen to it like 3 or 4 times, and each time you listen to it, pick a different layer in the song and try to hear that layer throughout the entire song. Sometimes it'll cut out, sometimes it'll come back in, but try to stick with that one layer. Then listen to the song again and try to pick a completely different layer and see if you can't hear that one the rest of the way through. Do that a couple of times, and then if you're feeling really brave, try dancing around to 1 or more of those layers.
And it ends up, when you dance to different layers, it ends up changing your pace, and it makes it more interesting.
All right, thank you very much, DCSX.
Dance Jam Productions.